Hi everybody, Marco Carvalho here from businesscreditbuilders.org. Today's video, we're going to talk about the top 5 business credit building tips to maximize your credit approvals for your company. So if you're looking for some specific strategies on how to make sure you don't get declined for credit, or maybe have some underwriting issues when applying for even like a business credit cards, or how do you make sure you get the highest credit approval possible when applying for, let's say, a vendor line of credit or a business credit card or a loan, etc. This is a video that's going to share with you some key tips. So let's get started. First, I want to talk to you about updating your information to make sure that your documents, whether it's your articles of incorporation, etc., your state filing records, that they're all up to date and they're accurate. One of the things that trigger declines is mismatched information when you're applying for credit, or they can't locate your company. So let's go over a couple of these things. First is your incorporation documents. Whether you're an LLC or you're a corporation, you want to look at your incorporation docs to make sure the information on there is completely accurate. The address that when you formed your company is now up to date. You want to make sure that you have the documents on hand. Some underwriters, when applying for a credit, they may request to see your certificate of formation if you're an LLC, or they want to see your articles of incorporation. Okay, so make sure you have these documents on hand. The second thing is your Secretary of State business registration. You want to make sure, obviously, your company is registered with the state. So when you can go into your state where your company was incorporated, do an entity search for your company. It comes up with the state filing records. You can do this all online. And you want to make sure that when you pull up your company, that the information on there is up to date, it's accurate, the address is correct. And let's say even if you change your name, let's say you got married and you have obviously a new last name, etc., you want to make sure you update that with their state filing records and your company documents. Because if you put a different last name on a credit app, and then when they do a search and they see your name's different on the filing records or etc., that's where it can cause an issue. So those little details like that are very, very important. So you want to make sure your Secretary of State business registration is up to date, and more importantly, that your filing is up to date. It's not inactive, okay? Because most states have an annual report filing that you have to do. It's a small fee you have to pay every single year to make sure that your company is active with the state. All right, the next thing is your employer identification number. This is a document that's very important because when you incorporate your business, you hear all about applying for an EIN, which is a short for your employer identification number. This is a document that's used for tax purposes. This is how the IRS tracks your business as far as filing taxes, etc. You're going to use your EIN number when you file your tax returns for your business, but you're also going to use your EIN when you're applying for credit on a credit application for your business. They ask for this EIN number. Your EIN number also, you want to look at it on the business side, is similar to like how your Social Security is used, because many business credit reporting agencies, obviously you use your EIN, and that's how other lenders can pull your company's business report with your EIN number. Okay, so this document is called CP 575. It's sent to you when you apply for an EIN and you're issued an EIN to your company. You receive this letter. This letter you'll see is a sample right here. You want to make sure that, again, the address is up to date. You want to make sure your name's spelled, the company's spelled correctly, etc. If there's any changes you need to make, then call this 800 number on this form here, and that's going to take you to the IRS Business Specialty line. You're going to speak to an agent, have them pull up your EIN and verify the information. If you have to change it, change that information, make sure it's up to date, and request for them to send you a new CP 575 letter. They're going to say we can mail it to you, but tell them you need it faxed to you right away because let's say you're applying for credit, you need the document right away, and they will fax it to you so that way you have an up-to-date EIN document. So you want to have this on hand, especially when you're applying for credit, because sometimes, again, underwriters may request to see this document to verify that this is your company. Obviously, they want to verify the EIN, the company name, etc. So this is an important document. The next thing is your legal business name. When you're applying for credit, I recommend you having a document that has all this information. So when you're applying for credit, that every time you apply, you have the consistent spelling of your company name, You don't want to change the variation on how you put your business name on documents. For example, if you say comma LLC with your company, let's say ABC Enterprises comma LLC, and then you apply for credit under ABC Enterprises without a comma LLC, there's variations. You don't want to do variations of your business name. You want to use the same spelling, same everything when you're applying for credit, when you open your business bank account, etc. The other thing is your business address. If you've moved recently, you want to make sure you update all these documents, your corporation documents, your Secretary of State business registration, your EIN. So it can be quite an undertaking if you recently moved or you set up a new company address. But these are the things that are very, very important, because if you don't do that, and then you have these documents with the old address, and you're applying under a new address, and then they're sharing that data with the business credit reporting agency, you can see all this information. You can have actually an additional credit file established for your company if you didn't make those necessary changes. So you could have what's called a duplicate credit file for your company. Okay, so those are the things you want to avoid. Your business bank account is another important document that you want to make sure is accurate before you start applying for credit. You want to make sure the address is correct, the spelling of your business, etc. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is your industry type, your NAICS code. This is a code you want to make sure you have established, you know what it is, because if you're filling out a credit application, whether it's for a credit card or a loan or a line of credit, etc., they may ask for your NAICS code or SIC code. This is a code that classifies your business. If you don't provide that code, then they'll classify your business for you, okay? So you want to make sure what that code is. So how can you search and find out what your code is? This is a code. You can go to naics.com. This gives you a lot of information about what these classification codes are. And these codes are used to classify what industry your business is in. So you want to make sure you identify the code for your business, so you can do a search here. You can find out everything about it. I'm not going to go into detail in this particular video about this, but you want to make sure that there's certain industries that are classified as high risk. You may be aware of them, like real estate's considered a high-risk industry, a car dealership's high-risk industry, anything lending or finance, if you're any type of brokering, that's high-risk industries, etc. So you want to avoid those particular type of classifications if possible, but that's where you want to make sure you select your NAICS code and SIC code for your business. You want to make sure you have that before you actually start applying for credit. The owner's information. Have you taken on a new business partner? If so, you want to make sure you have their information when it comes to applying for credit. This is really important when it comes to tip number 1. Make sure all your information is up to date, accurate. Let's talk about tip number 2 is maximizing your credit approvals when it comes to applying for business credit cards. This is a very, very important tip. All right, and I want to let you know that this will help make a dramatic impact in the type of credit approvals you're going to get when you're applying for a business credit card for your company. Whether you're a startup or an existing business, what I want to share with you on this tip is before you actually apply for a business credit card, you want to make sure you increase your primary credit card limits. Now, there's some rules to do before you do that. But remember, it's all about comparable credit when it comes to applying for a business credit card from some of the mainstream business credit cards out there. I'm not talking about fintech cards where they look more at your revenue. They may even check just your business credit report with some fintech cards. When I'm talking about mainstream business credit cards like American Express, Chase, Bank of America, US Bank, etc., they're going to pull your personal credit. And what they're going to do is they're going to look at your primary credit cards on how you manage them. How high are those credit limits? How long have you had those credit cards? What's your credit utilization on those cards? All right, that's just a major factor, because the way you're managing your personal primary credit cards, not authorized user accounts, on the business, from a bank's perspective, they're going to say, okay, if you're managing your personal cards responsibly, you have high credit limits, then it's going to be comparable. Then they're going to be comfortable issuing you a comparable credit limit on the business side. Okay, so that's all about comparable credit. So if you have low credit limits right now on your primary credit card, let's say you have a $2,500 credit card, that's the highest limit you have, don't expect a bank to issue you a $20,000 business credit card limit if you have no relationship with that bank and that's the highest credit limit you have on your personal credit card. Okay, so how can you increase that? So you can request a credit limit increase. All right, so that's something I want to share with you is when should you request a credit limit increase. Obviously, you want to request these before you apply for a business credit card, but timing is very, very important in how you do it. You'll see right here, make sure when you contact a credit card issuer that you have a card with, before you request a credit limit increase, you want to make sure that they only do a soft pull or an account review. If they say they're going to trigger a hard pull on your credit, then don't request a credit limit increase. All right, because that's going to hurt you. All right, as far as applying for additional credit. So don't proceed with a credit limit increase request if they're going to do a hard pull. Most credit card issuers will do a soft pull or they'll just do an account review. You want to make sure before you request a credit limit that you have 6 months of good account history with that credit card issuer. That's number one. So if you recently opened up a card, when should you request the increase? Wait for 6 months of good account activity and make sure you're using the card. All right, because this is the biggest mistake people make is they think just because they have the card that they can get a credit limit increase every 6 months. No, you have to use it. You have to show that there's a need for a credit limit increase. And this is just how the banks look at when an underwriter is looking at, or an account rep for the bank is looking at the card issuer, and they see you haven't used your card in 6 months, but you want to increase. Well, why should we give you an increase if you're not even using it? All right, so that's just something that's just common sense. But 6 months of good account history, that's number one before you request a credit limit increase. We've seen credit files that come through us for review for credit card funding, and they've had $3,000, $4,000 credit limit cards that they had for years without ever asking for a credit limit increase. Number two is a good FICO score. You obviously don't want to request a credit limit increase if your score has dropped dramatically. When you got this card, let's say you were at a 700, but now you're at a 550. Okay, you don't want to request a credit limit increase then. The next thing is you lowered your credit utilization ratio. This is something that's important when it comes to requesting a credit limit increase. And these are things that help you get a credit limit increase and even a higher credit limit increase. I'm not saying this is going to prevent you from getting one, but these are very important indicators and factors that gets looked at when you request a credit limit increase. They want to see, is your credit utilization decent or is it lower than when you had the card? Okay, what I mean by that is you don't want to apply for a credit limit increase if your credit card is maxed out. That's a big no-no. But if your utilization has been lowered overall on your credit cards, that's a benefit. If you recently had, let's say, a $10,000 credit limit card and you owed $8,000 on that card, and then you recently lowered it to $4,000, that would be a positive thing if at that time now you request for a credit limit increase because you've recently lowered your utilization on that card, which shows that you have cash flow, you have been paying down your debt, and now you want to request a little increase. Let's say you have a major purchase coming up. Okay, so that's what I mean by you're lowering your credit utilization ratio. And that could be on that card or other cards. You lowered your debt to income ratio. This is another positive factor. Now, what does that mean? When you look at your debt payments every single month, you have your car payment, let's say on your credit report, you have your mortgage payment, you have all your credit cards, and you have those minimum payments. That's your debt payments. So how do you lower your debt to income ratio? Let's say you recently paid off your car and now you don't have a car payment anymore. Now your debt payments have been reduced significantly because now you don't have that car payment. So that's a lower debt to income ratio. So a credit card issuer, when they look for a credit limit increase, they may look at that and say, oh, that car payment they used to have is no longer there. So now you have more money. You have more money you can spend, so that can justify them increasing your credit limit because now you have a better ability to repay on a higher amount of debt because you paid off the car. That's just an example. But another way you can lower your debt to income ratio is if you had an income increase, whether it's a personal income increase or a business income increase. So in your credit card, when you log into your credit card account, many times when you request a credit limit increase, what do they ask you? They ask you to verify your income. All right, and they'll show you what your current income is when you applied. And then if there's an adjustment, let's say you're making more money now, that could be a very positive indicator for them to increase your credit limit because now you make more income and you have less debt to income ratio because now you have more income and you can afford more debt. Let's say your business revenue has increased. That's something you want to update with your credit card issuer because that will, again, take into consideration when you request a credit limit increase. So these are all things that are very, very important when it comes to increasing your credit limits. Just a quick recap is if you had credit cards for 6 months and you're going to be applying for business credit cards and you haven't gotten a credit limit increase from these cards, number one, make sure you've been using those cards. Make sure you haven't maxed out on those cards, but you have all these things in place that would be very, very, very beneficial. When not to request a credit limit increase. You don't want to request a credit limit increase if you recently missed payments with that card issuer. That's a big no-no. You don't want to do that if you just open your credit card with that card issuer and then like a week later say, I want to increase my credit limit. You don't want to ever do that. Like I said, 6 months of positive payment history minimum. Or you don't want to request a credit limit increase if you just recently acquired a credit limit increase from that particular card issuer. And of course, if you recently applied for other cards or loans, you don't want to request a credit limit increase after the fact, okay? That's why we're telling you to do this before and make sure there's no hard pulls in your credit. Get those increases, wait for them to update on your credit reports, then you want to apply, okay? Because if a card issuer increases your credit limit, let's say you're at $5,000, now you're at $10,000, wait for that $10,000, that new credit limit to update on your credit report before you actually apply for a business credit card or you go through, let's say, our business credit card funding. Because that's what's key is you want to make sure that new credit limit is now reflected on your personal credit report. You don't want to request a credit limit increase if you maxed out a credit card, especially that particular card you're asking a credit limit increase for. You don't want to ever ask for a credit limit increase if that card's maxed out. Now let's talk about tip number 3, keeping your trade lines active on your business credit reports. Because remember, what gets talked about is getting trade lines reporting on your business credit report. The more trade lines you have, it shows that your company has a lot of credit. The other thing that it's also payment history that's so important. It's the length of how long you've had that credit. It's one thing to have 10, 15 trade lines reporting on your business credit report, but if you only have that for a month or 2 months or 3 months, I mean, that's not enough depth. There's not enough credit history there. Okay, so that's number 1. But the other thing that I want to talk to you about that's an important tip is the activity of your trade lines. Because remember, if you're not using your trade lines, you're not using your credit, they can become aged credit and then eventually drop off your business credit report. All right, so for example, in Experian, this is their classification and updates for how they manage their trade lines on your business credit report. So when you open up a new, let's say it's a credit card, or let's say it's a vendor, a Net 30 account, when that gets reported to, let's say, Experian, it becomes a new trade reporting on your business credit report. Now, provided that you're using that, let's say you don't use that, you used it once. You made one purchase, now it's a new trade, and let's say 4 months goes by and no more purchases, you don't do anything with it. It then becomes an age trade because there hasn't been any update from the lender or supplier or vendor that there's no trade update within the past 3 months. So it becomes an age trade. So it's no longer an active trade. All right. So that's why the next tip I'm going to share with you is how can you have regular trades reporting every single month on your business credit report. That's the next tip. But keep that in mind when it comes to your Net 30 accounts, your business credit cards that you're using them. You don't have to use them every single month, but at least frequency. All right, because even on credit cards, credit card issuers may close your credit card if it's been inactive for 12 months. You haven't used it in the past year. They may reduce your credit limit or maybe even cancel your card due to inactivity. But they may even give you a warning, say, hey, you have to use this card by this particular date or we're going to close your account. Okay, and that happens on personal side. It can even happen on the business side. So you want to make sure you're using your credit that you've acquired, both for keeping those accounts and also for keeping your business credit reports with regular trades reporting. That's another tip number 3. I want to talk to you about tip number 4, which is relevant to the previous tip, is building business credit on autopilot. Every single month you got regular trades reporting. You don't have to worry about, you just know you have a good core base of maybe 8, 10 trades or more reporting every single month, and it's consistent, continuous trade reporting. So how you can accomplish that is through the Business Lift subscription. This is a service that, number 1, you pay $19.95 a month for it. I think every business should have it. in my opinion, because it allows you to report your eligible business accounts like utilities to the business credit reporting agencies, which most utilities, cell phone providers, they don't report to the business credit reporting agencies. So why not have those active things that you're paying for as a business to operate your business? Why not have that report to your business credit reports and you benefit from it? Allow other vendors or lenders or banks to see, yes, I manage all my company's expenses every single month. Look at, here's my payment history. Okay, and the way to do that is through a Lift subscription. It costs $19.95 a month for it. This $19.95 you pay just for subscription reports to Dun & Bradstreet and Experian Commercial every single month. So you're getting that one positive trade line right there. Now, what this allows you to do is add your eligible business accounts, like if you're paying your business utilities, like your power, water, gas, waste, accounting services, your business insurance or other services, your cell phone, your TV services, internet, landline, etc. These are all services you're paying for every single month. Your business rent, lease, virtual offices, your web and technology services. Now, the key though is all these services, if you want them added to your autopilot reporting with your Lift subscription, they have to be in your company's name. It can't be in your personal name. All right, so that's key, especially with those of you who have a cell phone, you use it for business. Your cell phone account has to be in your business name. Now, you also have to be able to have an online account to be able to sync it with this Lift subscription. They do allow you to manually add them, and there's a separate fee for that. But with this autopilot, once you sync these accounts to your Lift subscription, then that reports every single month to Equifax, Business, and CreditSafe. They go back 24 months history as well for 2 years. So let's just say, for example, you've had a utility account that you've been paying on for 2 years for your business, and now you sync it with this Lift subscription. They verify it because now it's on autopilot, and now you have 2 years of payment history now being added on your Equifax business report and CreditSafe report. That's the beauty of it. Imagine getting that 2 years of past history that it wasn't reporting before, now it's reporting on your Equifax and CreditSafe report. That's how powerful this tip is getting building your business credit on autopilot with like your utility accounts. You go to Business Credit Builder Services. You want to make sure you use this specific link because this takes you to our partner. This is a company that we've set up a strategic relationship with. And here's the website right here. You'll see our logo. And this is how you get signed up for this special $19.95 a month. They also have a Business Lift Plus, which gives you access to other premium data. And you can look at this website and see if you want the enhanced Business Lift Plus or the Business Lift monthly subscription. This allows, and this gives you all the information. I don't need to go into more details about linking your online accounts. But again, this is a very, very powerful service for putting your building business credit on autopilot. Okay, so you go to businesscreditbuilderservices.com. That's tip number 4. Lastly, I want to talk about one of the most powerful tips when it comes to building business credit really fast is through business credit card funding. Now, I did give you some strategies on what you could do to make sure you get high credit limit approvals if you apply for a business credit card on your own, and I've done lots of videos on that. But for those of you who are looking to maximize your approvals, you want to make sure that the specific cards you get, this is the highest limits I'm going to get, the best offers. Because remember, every bank is different, every card is different. It depends on what region you're located, what business industry you're in, how old your company is, your FICO score, all those variables, so many factors come into play. So if you want to take that guesswork out of it, we offer a business credit card funding program. We actually do that analysis. We select those banks and cards that will give you the maximum approval, and we basically lock it down about 4 or 5 cards that will give you 0% intro APR on purchases up to 18 months. And our credit limits, our approvals go up to $175,000. And yes, we have done that. We've gotten clients where in 4 to 5 cards totaled $175,000 in credit. But how does that happen? It's exactly what I just talked to you about earlier, is that comparable credit. The age of your business does help, but comparable credit plays a big role. Now, with this particular program, we want you to have at least a 680 FICO score on 2 or more bureaus. Now, that's just a benchmark indicator. Doesn't mean you're going to get pre-qualified or get a funding projection, but it's the minimum. If you're like at 600, 650, we're not going to be able to give you a funding projection because your scores are too low. Okay, we may give you some recommendations if you send it in for review, some things you may do, or let's say you have good revenue come in. There are options. There are fintech cards you can get, maybe a revenue-based loan or a line of credit. So we will give you those options if you don't meet those score requirements. These particular cards that we acquire for you do not report to your personal credit. These help you build up business credit, so they report to the business credit reporting agencies. So this is the fastest way for you to get trade lines reporting on your business credit report when it comes to financial trade lines. Okay, now net 30 accounts are very, very powerful. We've done a video on that on how to build business credit in 30 days. So watch that one right here. That's where we list some of our top 5 net 30 vendors that you can get credit for. But you add that to this and you get 4 to 5 cards that you can see how you get easily get 10, 15 trade lines reporting, plus adding your utilities, which is tip number 4. It's huge. All right. So these are all these different strategies we're giving you in this video. Now, when it comes to business credit card funding, this is no documents. And what I mean by no doc, meaning you don't have to provide financials. There's no tax returns. There's no bank statements, no P&L statements. This is all we need to process you for funding will be driver's license, the EIN letter, which I talked about at the beginning, and your articles of incorporation or certificate of formation. Those are the only docs you need. So to pre-qualify for this, you just go to businesscreditbuilders.org, and that'll take you to this website right here. This is our website, and all you see this blue tab right here, you're going to click on this pre-qualify now, and that's going to bring up the pre-qualification form that you're going to fill out here. And this is where you're going to order your report. businesscreditbuilders.org. Before you do that, I want to share with you what you're going to need to do the review with us. And this is something you should already be doing if you're not doing it already. Whether you're a new business owner or you're a seasoned business owner, you should always have access to your credit reports as a business, both on the business and the personal side. On the personal side, we recommend knowmycredit.org. This is our specific link. We're going to share with you why it refers you to our partner site, ScoreIQ, because you can get all 3 of your credit reports and FICO scores for only $1. And they charge, I believe it's $32 a month to access all your credit reports and FICO scores every single day. All right, so this is what you're going to want to do is you want to order your credit report because we don't do a hard pull on your credit for the pre-qual review. You're supplying a recent copy of your credit report in order for us to do an assessment to see what type of business credit card funding we can project, we can acquire for you. So you'll see right here, this gives you an idea of what FICO score ranges. Now, if you're in the 680 or higher credit score range, that's good with at least 2 bureaus. Once you order your credit report, you go to knowmycredit.org. That's going to take you to this site right here. So you go to knowmycredit.org and you'll see right here, this is the special we have with them for you. It's $1, then $32.99 a month, which gives you full access to your reports. And they have all these other perks as well, like your dark web and internet monitoring. You have identity theft protection. But this is something, like I said, is so important for you to have access to on an ongoing basis. Why? Because you know anything happening to your credit, any unauthorized use of your credit. Also, when you're applying for credit, you can know what your scores are. So you'll know, do I meet the score requirements for this loan or this line of credit or this credit card? All right. So that's what you want to do first before you start the pre-qualification process. And just to go over real quick on the factors that are going to impact business credit card funding with us is comparable credit. Like I said, your FICO scores, your payment history, your length of credit history that you have, your credit utilization, and your new account activity and inquiries. So now what's unique with our review though is if you don't qualify, is we don't just say you don't qualify. We give you some recommendations. For example, if your debt's too high, we can give you a pay down recommendation. If you have some revenues, we may give you a revenue-based product that may fit your needs at that time. If you have some other issues, we'll maybe give you some guidance there with the review. So that's a benefit when you go through our pre-qualification review, and it's completely free. It doesn't cost you anything, and there's no obligation. So again, go to businesscreditbuilders.org for that. I want to give you a quick bonus tip right here is for those of you who have bad personal credit, let's say, well, I can't do business credit card funding. I'm working on my personal credit. You can still build business credit. All right, just like I talked about, you have net 30 accounts you can get. There's secured business credit cards, and that's a tip for you right here is this secured business credit card from Bank of America. I do recommend it for those of you who have less than perfect credit. While you're working on your personal credit, it would be good for you to at least get your foot in the door with a major bank like Bank of America that offers a secured business credit card, reports to the business credit bureaus. Also, they have a transition. They'll eventually transition you to an unsecured business credit card. So this is how you get your foot in the door. You also earn 1.5% cash back, no annual fee. But of course, you're gonna have to put up $1,000 to get your secured business credit line with Bank of America. But that could be a long-term strategy for you, but at least get you started having an actual business credit card you can use for your day-to-day expenses, etc. All right, so don't use your personal credit card for your business expenses. Use a business credit card at least. All right, so that's my bonus tip for you. If you found this video helpful, please give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate it. Click the subscribe button. That way you're notified every single time we come up with a new video, new strategies on building business credit. Check out our website, businesscreditbuilders.org. With that, make it a great day, and we'll talk to you real soon.